Level 16 is a 2018 Canadian science fiction horror film written and directed by Danishka Esterhazy. The film tells the story of a group of girls who live in a boarding school that educates them on how to become perfect young women for the family that will eventually adopt them. Two girls work together to uncover the truth about their imprisonment. The story begins by showing the number 10 and girls playing. And if you look more clearly, these girls are wearing uniforms like school uniforms. But in reality, this is a women's hostel called Facelift Academy. They were accommodated in this dormitory from the age of 0 until now they are 10 years old. That's why from the start of this film we are shown the number 10. They are placed in a special room where they are always monitored by CCTV for 24 hours. They have strict rules which they must obey, such as when and the sound of the alarm is a sign for them to carry out routine facial care which they must carry out, and they are always supervised by CCTV. In carrying out every activity, including activities for facial care where they must always look clean and white. In carrying out every activity they must first line up one by one, taking turns to carry out facial care in front of the mirror that has been prepared by the officers. When the alarm sounds, they are all required, without exception, to line up neatly and each bring face cream that the officers have given them in advance. They must apply the cream to their respective faces which are always monitored by CCTV. And at that time there was a child named Sophia who was in the second row and accidentally walked forward and hit her friend in front and dropped the cream bottle. Then her friend named Vivian spontaneously tried to help Sophia by picking up the fallen bottle. And it turned out that this was an action that was wrong and should not be carried out according to the regulations in the dormitory. Vivian, whose initial intention was to help Sophia, was deemed to have made a fatal mistake, and Vivian had to be taken and served punishment by two supervisors in the dormitory. Sophia, who felt guilty, could only cry and couldn't do anything, watching as her friend Vivian was taken away by officers because all the children were told to face the wall without looking in any direction. After some time, now all the children have become teenagers. They can be seen gathered in a room where they are learning about cleanliness and etiquette through television broadcasts which have been recorded in advance by the dormitory staff, and they are always required to memorize them. Whatever they see and learn through the videos they watch, every day for years they always do the same things and activities without any resistance to what they do. Because they are aware that if they refuse to carry out orders or schedules that have been set, they will receive punishment for every refusal they make. Year after year they passed without looking out of the dormitory building. They never felt sunlight or rain from the sky. They are locked up in a building without knowing the outside world. They have never experienced how children their age play, joke with each other and receive warmth from their parents. They are only forced to always appear clean, neat, and orderly. This story is now focused on Vivian and her friends who are teenagers. Vivian grew up with a beautiful face and was initially very close to Sophia. They used to be friends. But because of the incident when Vivian was punished for helping Sophia and Sophia was unable to help or defend Vivian, she doesn't make friends like she did when she was 10 years old. Without Vivian realizing it, Sophia is blind in one eye. This is what makes Vivian increasingly distant and doesn't want to be close to Sophia anymore. And also because Vivian was the child who was always number 1 in her group, she was worried that if she became friends with Sophia again, it would bring down Vivian's reputation. It turns out that the title was given to Vivian because she was known as a girl with a very high level of cleanliness, neatness, and discipline, and always acted like an adult woman in general. When night comes, they have to go to bed at the appointed time, and you should also know that they are never told the time or hour, date, month, and year. That's why, as an estimate, Vivian is a smart child who always makes calendar notes on the wall which she always writes according to her version. The next day they returned to their usual schedule, that is, they were taken into a room, and a person they usually called a mentor came over to them. She is a female mentor named Breakseal. This woman always looks beautiful and neat with shoulder-length blonde hair. From this meeting, Breakseal told the news that they had graduated from level 15, which is known that this level is their age in terms of years since they were born. They were told that they would advance to the final level, namely level 16, where their age would reach 16 years. At level 16 they no longer have a routine schedule like at levels 10 to 15, but now they are not combined, but they will start to be separated into 4 groups consisting of groups named Rose, Lily Group, Daisy Group, and also Eris Group. Vivian was placed in a place called the Rose Group, which was placed in a corridor called the Rose Hole Corridor with other friends. As well as the other groups, they would be placed in each corridor, namely the Lily Hole Corridor, the Daisy Hole Corridor, and also the Eris Corridor. In Rose's group, there are 2 friends of Vivian's group who always have the desire to try to be close to Vivian. They are called Rita and Ava. They want to be like Vivian, who is always the favorite in their group, as the best woman in this place. Vivian is also given full power to lead Rose's group, and she feels she has the right to choose and arrange the position of her bed according to what she wants, and also need to know that Sophia is also in the same room and group as Vivian. And Sophia always tries to apologize for the past incident, and Sophia also feels suspicious about the dormitory's activities. She always tried to tell Vivian something that Sophia thought was strange. At level 16, now the girls are also starting to get additional activities, one of which is additional treatment such as taking a pill which they call a vitamin to beautify their skin every day. They always get it every day in turns while lining up and then one by one receiving the gift. Then drink the vitamin pills, and alternately continuously every day. They believe that these pills, which are called vitamins to increase beauty, can improve their health and body growth like normal women. After receiving the vitamins and drinking them, they were then directed and taken to a room which is usually called the dining room. They were served to enjoy the dishes provided, without them knowing what the contents of the food they were eating. And the food is always prepared for them to eat. When Vivian wanted to go to the toilet, Vivian accidentally didn't realize that Sophia was hiding something. Her behavior after paying attention to Sophia was different from most women, and it was true that Sophia intended to approach Vivian while telling her, something that Sophia had long suspected and also wanted to tell Vivian about this, but after successfully talking to Vivian, it turned out that Vivian chose to be indifferent and maintain her attitude regarding what she had heard from Sophia. She kept her curiosity in check and left Sophia. Just like that, and Sophia felt disappointed, but she didn't give up her enthusiasm. For your information, previously the girls were told that when they reached the 16th level they believed that they would one day be adopted by certain families, who would take them out of the dormitory and live a normal life like a teenager at that age after graduating. From level 16, they don't realize that it's just a trick from the supervisors to get them to always carry out the orders and rules set by the boarding school. Therefore, Break Seal, as their mentor, always tells them that they should always speak politely, always be neat and clean, and dress code must always be observed, which will be useful in attracting their prospective adoptive parents in the future. But there is something strange that they have never been taught. Even though they were taught to read, write, and count by the tutors in the dormitory where they lived, these women were never once taught how to recognize letters. It was clear that one of the women, named Grace, started asking what is written. After she received the clothes given by Break Seal, the same thing happened to Vivian. As the number one girl in her group, she never felt taught to read and write, and it even took her quite a long time to be able to spell her name. After all the women received guidance from Break Seal, they were told to get ready to go back to rest and sleep in their respective beds. It turned out that Sophia, who had been suspicious of the activities they had been doing, wasn't sleeping. She was just pretending. After everyone was asleep and the supervisors weren't watching them, Sophia got up from her bed and did something, but none of the girls' friends knew what Sophia was doing. When the morning alarm starts to sound, they wake up as usual and do their usual activities, namely housewives cleaning the bedroom, sweeping the floor, and so on, doing good things. Sophia tries to talk and chat deliberately with Ava. Sophia invites Ava to exchange jobs, namely what Sophia usually does and what she will do and vice versa. This is done by Sophia to be close and talk to Vivian. But again, Vivian always refused and avoided these invitations. Sophia was about to immediately say something and tell Vivian not to take the vitamin pills that were always given to them anymore. It is not yet known why Sophia forbade Vivian to do this, but secretly Vivian began to try to obey Sophia's instructions. You could say that Vivian also wanted to try to prove whether what Sophia had suspected was true or not. What would happen if the vitamins didn't drink it? And it turned out that what Sophia said was not just a lie, but was true. This was seen when Vivian and Sophia did not immediately fall asleep like the others, because they did not take the vitamin pills given to them. This means that the vitamin pills they are taking are not actual vitamins to beautify their faces, but are just sleeping pills for which it is not clear what they are used for. Not long after, footsteps were heard entering the room where they were sleeping. It turned out that it was Break Seal and other officers who came. They deliberately brought Vivian along with another friend named Olivia. After further investigation, it turned out that Vivian and Olivia were taken to a special room where Olivia was still unconscious from her sleep, while Vivian herself pretended to be asleep so that the officers would not notice when the officers took them to another room. Sometime after that, a husband and wife came, who are usually called sponsors by the boarding house, who wanted to buy Vivian and Olivia. At first, Vivian thought that they were parents who would adopt them, but when Break Seal explained several advantages that Olivia and Vivian had in the end, the husband's wife was interested in choosing Olivia over Vivian. Based on what Vivian had heard, that it turned out that their existence was not for adoption but to be bought and sold at clearly different prices, and tonight it turned out that several sponsors also came to buy them. And it turns out that Sophia was also chosen from one of them to be traded. It was at this moment that Vivian tried to find out what happened to them. Vivian also realized that Break Seal had made an appointment with another sponsor in a different room, and Vivian also knew that Sophia had not been bought by another sponsor. The next day they gathered in a room to get the vaccine which would be injected into them through a doctor named Myro. After receiving the vaccine, the women were taken back to a different room to watch a film. In a different room, they gathered and strange things started to happen to one of the women. The woman experienced vomiting. And then Vivian and Sophia discussed in a room where Vivian said that she saw an officer enter their room while they were asleep. The officer committed acts of harassment against women while they were asleep. As the days passed, it was clear that Ava wanted to take over Vivian's position. This was not a problem for Vivian. Vivian herself was busy finding out by visiting Dr. Myro's room. But unfortunately, this visit had a bad impact on Vivian because the doctor tried to drug Vivian and then harassed Vivian. After this incident, Sophia and Vivian discussed taking a card from the officer, which would be useful for gaining access to every room in the dormitory. Ava accidentally overheard their conversation. Ava reported this to the officers. Ava intended to get rid of Vivian. This report resulted in Vivian being moved to a small room. Elsewhere, after the incident, Dr. Myro came to the break seal room. They discussed that too much money had been spent on treating these women from childhood. It turns out that the Vestalis' dormitory is the place where the women were used as investments by Dr. Myro. In the evening, the officers returned to the room where the women were sleeping, and the officers again took action to harass the women while they were asleep. However, Sophia, who as usual did not sleep, resisted the officer and managed to take the officer's access card. However, Break Seal already knew this. Break Seal gathered all the women in one room. Break Seal gathered them together to find out where the card that Sophia had taken was. Not long after, Dr. Myro came in and the doctor pointed out that Rita was innocent of the loss of the card. After this incident, the women were lined up to receive vitamins as usual, but now the vitamins were given directly by Break Seal to ensure that all the women drank them. Vivian hurt her hand to get rid of the effects of the pills she was taking. She tried to find where Sophia had hidden the card and it turned out that Vivian found the card under her bed. Then Vivian tried to get out of the room using access to the card and the card didn't work, so Vivian tried to open the door to their room manually. Not long afterward, Vivian managed to open the door and then tried to find the room where Break Seal was. After meeting Break Seal's room, it turned out that Break Seal herself was still in that room. A fight between Vivian and Break Seal ensued, where Break Seal tried to inject an anesthetic into Vivian's body, but it turned out that Vivian succeeded in injecting an anesthetic into Break Seal, which caused Break Seal to faint. Vivian continued to try to find a way out, and without realizing it, she saw a gap where she could see the light of the moon. Vivian was very stunned because, in her entire life, she had never seen an outdoor view. It wasn't long before Vivian woke up and went down the stairs to the bottom floor. She found the room where Sophia was locked up. After successfully getting Sophia out of the room, they accidentally found another room which turned out to be a room containing a corpse where there was the body of their friend Rita. It turned out they saw that Rita's face had been skinned until she was dead. It is not yet known why Rita's face had to be skinned. They kept trying to find a way out, but halfway through Sophia said to Vivian that she wanted to free their other female friends. Vivian also gave the access card to Sophia, which Sophia then used to pick up other female friends. Elsewhere, Vivian tried to find every room in that place, and it turns out that from every room that Vivian found, Vestalis Academy's business was uncovered. It turned out that Vestalis Academy is a beauty clinic that has long been offering transplant treatment, also known as face grafting. Elsewhere, Sophia had managed to gather other female friends and was followed by Vivian, who brought the Break Seal while she was still unconscious, which was used to convince their friends. Vivian and Sophia also said that their friend Rita had died in the room downstairs. Then they believe it. There was also a surprising fact that they discovered that Break Seal was also a sponsor or customer of this clinic, therefore they took Break Seal downstairs to lock her up. After that they ran out of the dormitory, but they were still being chased by several dormitory officers. Vivian and Sophia ran into a room to save herself from being chased by the officers. Not long after, Dr. Myro came to meet them behind the room, and then the Academy Vestalis cover increasingly revealed that Vivian was there and Dr. Myro's biggest investment. Vivian realized this, so she tried to injure her face using a knife right in front of Dr. Myro. Seeing this, Dr. Myro immediately felt disappointed, and at the same time, the sound of a police car siren was heard, which explained that the end of the continuity of the Vestalis Academy itself. Not long after, there were repeated gunshots which confirmed that Dr. Myro had died at the hands of the police. Then the door where Vivian and Sophia were hiding was opened by the police, and they felt for the first time that their bodies and skin were exposed to sunlight, and at the same time they could feel what it felt like. In essence, the police knew about this because they received a call from their friend who managed to save herself first. Then the police immediately took action and went straight to the Academy's facelift location. If Sophia didn't intend to gather all their female friends, it's possible that now Vivian and Sophia will be caught again by the hostile officials and their efforts will be in vain. This film is highly recommended for women who have the desire to beautify themselves and are interested in entering the Facelift Academy so that their skin is brighter and the quality is truly guaranteed.